Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money. In this video, I'll tell you about my 5-week visit to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. I'll cover the cost, getting around, my interesting Airbnb stay, and my 3 favorite experiences. If you are new here, I have created this channel to help you learn about how to travel, adventure, and have fun on the road to financial independence. I have traveled the world, paid off a house in Spain, and I've made big moves toward financial independence. I believe that the road to financial freedom can and should be fun. I hope that you'll subscribe and join me on this journey, no matter where you are starting from. If you aren't already familiar, Cabo San Lucas, or simply Cabo, is a resort city at the bottom of the Baja Peninsula of Mexico. For the summer of 2021, I was taking some time off from work and looking for an international destination, which were very limited at the time due to the pandemic. Most of the world was shut down, and then there was Mexico. I looked at Airbnb listings all over Mexico and decided on Cabo because it just seemed to be an easy destination. Usually I am booking budget travel, but this particular trip was extra long and where I wouldn't be working. So it was sort of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I decided to spend more when it came to the accommodations. I really wanted a place with a nice view because there is nothing more that I love than sitting with a fresh cup of coffee and looking out at a view. Months in advance, I booked a condo unit for 7 weeks, and the cost was over $4,500. I don't think I've ever even spent that on a year of Airbnb rentals. It was beautiful, modern, had a gorgeous view of the city and the sea, and had a beautiful pool that accommodated only 12 units, so it was fairly private. At the last minute, I decided to change some of my plans because Spain opened up its borders and I had the opportunity to travel to my house there for the first time in a long time. The host was gracious enough to let me shorten my trip in Mexico by 10 days, and changing my flight with Southwest Airlines was also super easy and actually ended up saving me some money. I flew home to Spain for 10 days and then back to Florida, where I was only planning to be overnight before taking off for Cabo. Then, less than 24 hours before my flight, I got a message from the Airbnb host asking me to call her. In short, she basically said that a construction crew had dug up the road and they had accidentally cut the electricity lines. Not only was there not a decent road to get into the condo, but they didn't know if electricity would be at all functional for the next month. Even though the situation was unfortunate for me, I felt really bad for the host. I can't imagine having no control over something like that and then losing thousands of dollars in rent. She had spent the morning trying to find me alternative places to stay within the same price range, but there was nothing that was going to offer the same kind of ambiance that I was looking for. Instead of stressing myself out trying to find a place that could host me within 24 hours, I decided to change my flight again with Southwest and leave a few days later. I was still tired after traveling back from Spain, and this is a lesson I've learned previously. Always be ready to adjust your plans if it seems best for your physical, mental, and emotional state at the time. As it turns out, I saved money again by changing my flight, so that was nice. Southwest wasn't charging any fees to change flights, and that really came in handy. I ended up booking another Airbnb for 4.5 weeks for just over $4,000. This Airbnb was actually nicer than the one I had booked previously. It was the entire top floor of a house, had an incredible view, a hot tub, and the aesthetic was modern, bright, and cozy. Even though I had prepared to splurge a bit, it is still hard to pay that kind of money. The car rentals in Cabo were so pricey that I decided it would be better to hire a driver from the airport and then try to get around with Uber. The property manager of the Airbnb offered airport transport, but after doing some research online, I found a transport company that was about $20 cheaper. I booked that transport on caboshuttleservices.com, and I believe it was $80 for the transport, which was in a Suburban with a very professional driver. I got to the house and the property manager wasn't there and I couldn't find the key. I was so hot and thirsty. I sat outside of the house in the scorching sun for a bit until the property manager finally called me and told me where to find the key. The house was incredible. I loved it and immediately felt at home. When I needed groceries, I arranged a driver with the property manager to take me about 5 minutes up the road to Walmart. That drive cost me about $50 round trip, and I decided right then that I wouldn't be using private drivers anymore. You can easily take Uber in Cabo, but the neighborhood where I was staying doesn't make the pickups easy. So if I wanted to take an Uber, usually I'd have to walk for 10 minutes to get out of the neighborhood in order to have the Uber meet me outside of the gate. Honestly, it was a real pain, and I may have been better off just spending $1,000 to rent a car while in Cabo. What I was finding out is that unless you really know your way around, Cabo is very expensive. I think it is mainly due to it being such a tourist destination. Looking back, I could have had Airbnb rentals that were just as nice for half the cost if I had been in Europe, and car rentals for even less than half. Not to mention that Europe has nicer roads and walkable cities. I haven't been to other parts of Mexico, so I'm only speaking about Cabo here. I did get the hang of taking Uber and grocery shopping. Across from the Walmart in the shopping center was a store called Mr. Tofu. I'm vegetarian, so this store turned out to be a lifesaver for me. They had so many wonderful options and the staff were incredibly friendly and kind. While I was talking to one of the staff members, she told me about a nice beach location called Sur Beach House, where you could have free chairs and umbrellas as long as you spent a certain amount per person on food and drink. If I remember correctly, it was $60 per person, but they were flexible if the spending came out to be a little less. It was, however, very important to make a reservation days in advance. The nice thing about this location was that there was a private beach swimming area, and you were also roped off from solicitors trying to sell you things all day. Although it was a bit expensive in comparison to what I'm used to, the food and drinks were amazing, and there was quite the selection. During my 5 weeks in Cabo, I had a couple of friends visit me at different times, and this was a place we frequented. The neighborhood I was staying in was called Cabo Bello, and it did have a decent beach location to walk to, but it wasn't very swimmer friendly. There were a lot of rocks and the waves crashed pretty hard in that area. Due to COVID, I was pretty much a homebody when my friends weren't in town with me, so I waited for them to do my real exploring. So let me tell you about my 3 favorite things that I did while I had a friend in town, starting with number 3, massages. We found a place called Just in Time Massage in Cabo that had excellent reviews. This isn't like a resort or a spa kind of place, it's much more local feeling. It's not fancy at all, but the staff who do the massages are incredible. Definitely some of the better massages I've had, and for very reasonable prices. Number 2, my friend and I booked a sunset cruise with open bar and snacks. I believe it was about $50 per person and lasted 2 hours. The views were beautiful, the staff was kind, and it was fun to meet other travelers. Seeing the waves on the Pacific side was intense. I would personally love to do some whale watching, but summer isn't the season for it. Okay, so number 1 was actually visiting the city of San Jose del Cabo. I didn't visit there until the last week or 2 of my stay, and I wished I had gone sooner. As a matter of fact, if I ever went back to the area, that is where I would stay. The walkable area of the old town had such a cool vibe. There were restaurants, coffee shops, little boutique stores, and more. Even though it is frequented by tourists, it isn't the same kind of overly tourist feel that you get in Cabo San Lucas. I would highly recommend that you visit San Jose del Cabo if you are in the area. I'd also like to quickly mention that Uber Eats turned out to be something that I used frequently to order my dinners. I was able to explain to the drivers how to get into my neighborhood, and it was a handy option on several occasions. My Airbnb story had one more crazy turn before the experience was over. The property manager messaged me about 2 weeks into my stay and asked if I could meet him outside 10 minutes later. He came by to let me know that they accidentally double booked the house we were in. They booked my stay with just the upper floor, but booked a stay for someone else that included both the top and bottom floor. He said they had another house 2 doors down that was bigger, fancier, and had a full pool. He said it was usually more expensive, but if I was willing, they would like for me to move there a couple days later and stay there for the remainder of my time. I asked about the view, which he said was more limited from the other house. I was sort of bummed about the view, but as a previous Airbnb property owner, I understand those kind of situations are difficult. I ended up making the move, and although I did miss the view, the new house was pretty amazing. It's funny though, every Airbnb rental is different, and you forget to ask about things like purified water, a stove, or other items that you might take for granted. Even though the new house was much nicer, there were definitely certain adjustments I had to make. Overall, Cabo was a bit too touristy for my taste, but still an experience I feel privileged to have. I look forward to exploring other, more authentic areas of Mexico in the future. If you've spent considerable time in Mexico, let me know your favorite places to visit and why. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to join me every Sunday where travel and adventure build financial freedom. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.